Good Thursday afternoon, folks. I'm NTV Chief Meteorologist Eddie Shear. Certainly a bit of a complex weather day across the island as a cold front is currently marching eastward from the west coast. That's helping to bring rapidly changing weather conditions to western Newfoundland now, and those changing conditions push across the island as we head throughout the rest of the day. Getting a look at radar imagery, we can see that rain now beginning to get closer to the Avalon Peninsula. Currently is onto the Burin Peninsula. Notice those yellows in there indicating some fairly heavy rainfall. Setting this into motion, we can see that rain quickly advancing to the east. But as we go back toward the west coast, we can see those blues showing up, and that is snow. And in fact, it is snowing quite heavily for parts of the west coast right now. And that has changed rapidly from just a couple hours ago when rain was falling at a pretty steady rate. We can see that change working quickly now through Corner Brook into Gros Morne and now getting into Deer Lake, Humber Valley. And in fact, most areas of the island will see the rain this afternoon possibly ending as a period of some flurries as temperatures rapidly drop behind a cold front. And that cold front is basically sitting right on that rain-snow line. So as this front works its way eastward, that's when we see that gradual change, or I should say rapid change to snow and very quick drop in temperatures. Right now it's 1 in Corner Brook. It was 6 or 7 there this morning. Stephenville down to -2, 6 in Badger, 2 in St. John's. Now in St. John's, the temperature is more of a factor of it's overcast and foggy rather than it's just cold, because there is some warm air aloft. It just hasn't worked its way all the way down to the surface yet, like we're seeing in Argentia, Terra Nova, and Gander, and Twillingate. Those areas sitting between 6 and 9 or 10 degrees this afternoon, but temperatures will actually rapidly fall as we go through the day. Notice by 5 o'clock, down to -2 in Badger, still 6 in Gander, but jumping ahead to 9, Gander falls to -4, St. John's down to -1, Stephenville, Corner Brook already down to -12 by 9 o'clock this evening, and that colder air works across the island as we head through Friday. Also looking at some onshore flurries developing this afternoon as winds shift westerly, and they will stay westerly tonight and tomorrow. So to expect some onshore flurries and squalls across the west coast and western side of the northern peninsula tonight through tomorrow. In Corner Brook right now, we can see it is snowing. NTV Skycam almost completely overtaken with snow after the rain and warmth we had this morning. In Grand Falls, Windsor, just seeing rain, mild temperatures right now, but that may end as some flurries this afternoon, and we could see some flash freezing in spots as temperatures do rapidly drop behind the cold front. And in St. John's, overcast, foggy, and cool at the moment. We're also seeing some snow into Labrador, especially along the north coast. That will persist as we go through this afternoon, beginning to wind down overnight. By 6 o'clock, looks like most of that rain has moved offshore across the island. Onshore flurries kicking on across the west coast, and by this evening, still snow across Labrador's north coast, onshore flurries across the west coast, and that's pretty much the trend we will see overnight. But everything begins to calm down, it looks like, as we go into Friday. Weather alerts still in place, still seeing some of those gusty winds across the west coast and the south coast. Wind warnings still in place for the Burin Peninsula and the Canagra Peninsula. Those will more than likely be ended over the next couple of hours until Labrador, blowing snow advisories and snowfall warnings in place for central Labrador and the mid and north coast. Those will also more than likely be held on to through this evening until the snow begins to wind down. Total snow accumulation for Labrador's north coast and central, somewhere in the 15 to 30 centimeter range. The next big weather maker comes in Saturday into Sunday, and this one looks like it's going to produce very, very significant snowfall for parts of central and western Newfoundland. Don't like to throw around the blizzard term lightly, but certainly that could be what we're dealing with Saturday night into Sunday for parts of the west coast and central. On the east coast, Avalon Metro, looks like we do see a bit of snow Saturday afternoon, quickly changing over to freezing rain and then just plain old rain. The question is always the age-old question, how far west does that mixed line make it? And I'm working on that now. Forecast is coming along, still a bit to do. Either way, I'll talk about that later, and more updates this afternoon, but for the full forecast, obviously tune in tonight to NTV. First edition between 5:30 and 6, and the evening news hour between 6 and 7. I'll see you then. Have a great afternoon.